Welcome back. And let's start with our first segment of today, talking about the African Day. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Wednesday congratulated African peoples on the occasion of Africa Day. And on his social media pages, the president said, "This occasion represents a great historical memory, which established a new era of unity and cooperation among African countries." To discuss this in more details, over the phone we have Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi and his former Assistant Foreign Minister. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? Good morning, Mr. Ambassador.
Good morning, good morning.
So, first of all, talking about Egypt and the African continent and the role that Egypt is playing now in Africa.
It is a happy day for all of us because it is a sort of Egyptian establishment, and Egypt, of course, it is African. Half of the Arab world is in Africa. Since the pharaonic time, many African countries are proud that they have pharaonic origin. In Swaziland, the king himself told us, and in the pamphlet, the tourist pamphlet of Swaziland, they say they have Egyptian origin. In Cameroon, where I was an ambassador, there are some tribes, they build their houses up to today like the shape of pyramids. So Egypt is everywhere in Africa, and Egypt is the most acceptable face in the continent. Then we came to the recent history with Gamal Abdel Nasser and the movement against colonialism, with Boutros Ghali and his effort to gather the African relations in the sense of cultural relations, Al-Azhar al-Sharif and its role in Africa, because many African countries are members of the Islamic Conference. The Egyptian Coptic Church is leading the Eastern churches in many African countries. So there are many reasons that Africa look to Egypt as a very friendly country, part of Africa, and you may realize this whenever there is a voting occasion in the United Nations, the 50 African countries vote with Egypt automatically. More than that, they adopt the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as a member in Africa, although Palestine is not in Africa. So we are happy with this cooperation. Now we have a president who is very active concerning Africa. He visited many African capitals. I am amazed by President Sisi visiting one country. I was non-resident ambassador there because it's impossible to live there. He went there, he took the Arab constructor, he built an embassy, and now we have full staff embassy in that country. All this shows us that it is highly in our priority for foreign relations. Security is on top of our interest. Now we have the largest free trade area in the world because from the point of view of the number of population, the free trade area of Africa is 1,200 million inhabitants. We have all these are positive elements. Same time, we have to work a lot to tackle some problems which are obstacles for more and more African cooperation, such as transport, whether road or maritime or airway traffic. Banking system needs a lot of effort to have a first-class banking system in Africa, and many things must be done in order to have much more close relations with Africa, because it is quite a good relation for our foreign relations. And we had suffered a little bit 20 years before the revolution when we stopped what we call the presidential diplomacy. Now our leader, our president, went everywhere in Africa. He was elected in 2019 to chair the African Union, and now it is up to us to make this much more story of success.
Right. If I'm talking about the sustainable development and the African vision, so now Egypt is working very hard, and also, as mentioned by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, working to achieve sustainable development in the whole continent. How important it is when it comes to trade, for example, and the change of expertise and working together on small and medium enterprises as well between African countries?
I am sure you know that although Africa is the second largest populated continent, but it is in a position, in an unfair position. The money flow, or the flow of money going out of Africa, is much more than the money Africa receives. Why Africa is paying its debts, it's paying its invoice of import, much more than it receives of investment, or it receives as a result of exports. And we have to change this. Here comes the initiative of our president since 2019 to invite the rich countries to invest in Africa with the Egyptian experience and the well-accepted face of Egypt on the African soil, in order to make Africa much more able to produce, to invest, and to exchange trade with all partners in the world.
Right. Talking also about the potentialities that we are looking for on sectors that we can work more on. We all know, just as you mentioned, definitely Africa is, one can describe it as a hub for all raw materials, for example. So to work more on this and take benefits of all our gifts that we have on the continent, how can we work on this?
The answer is one word: investment, investment, investment. Why? Because all what Africa is producing is dominated by European countries. You cannot buy timber or wood from Africa directly. If you want to buy wood, I tried once, they answer you, you have to buy it from the European countries, from Paris or Rome or London. The fruits and the vegetables in Africa are very cheap, but there isn't companies which invest on this domain and introduce it. We have the possibility of going with small size investment to cut wood, to produce canned food, whether vegetables or fruits. Many opportunities are there, but we need a first-class banking system to cover and to support those who are investing or those who are making trade with Africa. And it's not that difficult, but it needs a political will, and that we start immediately this effort.
Right. Also, in talking about the importance of the gatherings and meetings of African leaders together, because they're definitely talking on discussing transparently all the challenges, whether I'm talking about economic challenges or political challenges among the African countries, we need to talk about it and to have something like a win-win policy, even when it comes to our youth, for example. And we have seen this in the youth forum that gathered the African youth as well in Egypt.
This is the trick. If you continue the dialogue, if you continue meeting and discussing between the leaders, the political leaders, between the experts, and we have experts covering all the countries of the continent. We have to continue this. And our Egyptian agency for development and partnership with Africa is very active, but it needs much more money and capital in order to invest and to help our friends in Africa. The way is quite clear. We are on the way, but we have to accelerate this effort, and more discussion and meetings with our African partners will make the job.
Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for joining us. Right, and moving on to a quick break, then we'll be back with more on The Breakfast Show.
After the official announcement